In this place, schools, shopping centers, and high-rise buildings were constructed for 700,000 people who never arrived. A project valued at more than $100 billion was meant to become a model of the city of the future, where technology and nature would coexist in harmony. Yet to this day, it remains largely empty. The project was called Forest City, and construction began in the early 2010s in southern Malaysia. From the very beginning, it was conceived as an experiment in building a city of the future, one that would be fully planned from scratch and constructed on artificial islands reclaimed directly from the sea. Over time, however, Forest City became known not for its architectural ambitions, but for the outcome those ambitions ultimately produced. Despite the scale of development and its nearly completed infrastructure, it never became a place of everyday life. Residential towers stand without occupants. Shopping malls remain closed, and the streets look as though life there never truly began. To understand why a project with such vast resources and ambitions ended up in this position, it is necessary to examine not only what went wrong, but also which decisions made this outcome almost inevitable from the start. Forest City is located in the state of Johor, at the southernmost edge of Malaysia, in the narrow strait that separates the country from Singapore. Unlike most urban developments, it was not built on the mainland, but on four artificial islands reclaimed directly from the sea. The total development area covers roughly 30 square kilometers, comparable in size to a small city. From the outset, Forest City was envisioned as a fully autonomous city rather than a resort or an elite residential complex. Plans included everything from residential districts of various types to international schools. The project was presented as a rare opportunity to build a city without the constraints of legacy infrastructure and urban compromises that typically accompany the expansion of existing metropolitan areas. This very idea, the chance to create a city entirely from a blank slate, became one of Forest City's main selling points and helped attract both investors and political support. At the conceptual level, Forest City appeared both logical and timely. Its architectural vision was based on principles of biomorphic design, favoring soft, organic forms intended to reduce the visual aggressiveness of high-rise development and integrate the city into the surrounding tropical landscape. A strong emphasis was placed on greenery. Building facades were designed to be covered with vegetation, inspired by vertical forest concepts, while public spaces were planned around parks and pedestrian areas. In Malaysia's hot and humid climate, this approach was presented not merely as an aesthetic choice, but as a way to improve the city's microclimate. Forest City was also promoted as a car-free city. Transportation infrastructure was to be placed underground, leaving the surface entirely for pedestrians and public life. In a country where more than two-thirds of the population lives in urban areas, this vision appeared progressive and appealing. The initiator of Forest City was Country Garden, one of China's largest real estate developers. The project was launched in 2014 and developed in partnership with the government of Johor, as well as entities connected to the region's royal family. In its early stages, Forest City enjoyed substantial political backing and was viewed as a strategic development for southern Malaysia. However, this phase already contained a critical flaw. Forest City was not designed for local residents, but for foreign buyers, primarily wealthy investors from China. Apartment prices started at around $170,000, a level that placed ownership far beyond the reach of most Malaysians. As a result, Forest City was conceived not as a space for building a local community, but as an investment product driven by external demand. Ambition soon collided with reality. Any sustainable city depends on the people who live in it, those who work there, raise children, and participate in daily economic life. In Forest City, this foundation never emerged. Most apartments were purchased not for residence, but as assets to be resold or held as investments. Consequently, even completed residential districts failed to generate life. There was no organic demand for local businesses, services, or public spaces. Forest City existed as architecture and infrastructure, but not as a functioning social environment. This made the project extremely vulnerable to external shocks. In 2018, conditions changed abruptly. Malaysia underwent a change in government, and the new prime minister publicly criticized Forest City, stating that the project offered little benefit to the local population. Restrictions on foreign property ownership soon followed, a devastating blow to a development where up to 98% of buyers were foreign nationals. Around the same time, China tightened capital controls, limiting overseas transfers to $50,000 per year. For Forest City's primary target audience, this effectively made purchasing foreign property impossible. Combined with the COVID-19 pandemic and global travel restrictions, these factors led to a dramatic collapse in sales. By 2020, transaction volumes had fallen by roughly 90%, and construction slowed significantly. Despite its green branding, Forest City caused significant environmental damage. More than 160 million cubic meters of sand were used to reclaim land for the artificial islands, sourced from the sea and from abroad. This process destroyed seagrass meadows and mangrove forests, ecosystems vital for coastal protection and fish populations. Rushed construction on unstable ground also led to structural issues, including cracks in buildings and sinking roads, while local fishing communities lost their livelihoods. Environmental groups and civil organizations increasingly criticized the project, and Forest City's image as an eco-friendly city came to be seen as an example of greenwashing, where visual greenery masked substantial ecological harm. So what is Forest City today? By 2024, only about 15% of the original master plan had been completed. Official figures suggest that roughly 9,000 people live there, including service personnel, a fraction of the population the city was designed to support. Despite financial struggles, Country Garden remains optimistic. In recent years, Malaysian authorities have attempted to reposition Forest City by granting it special financial zone status, offering tax incentives, and focusing on commercial and investment activities. More than 30 investors have reportedly expressed interest, shifting the project's orientation toward becoming an alternative to Singapore's crowded market. The city has even been used as a filming location for television productions, further highlighting its strange and transitional state. Ultimately, the story of Forest City is not merely about a failed construction project. It illustrates what happens when a city is designed as an investment vehicle rather than a living social system. Even enormous budgets, futuristic architecture, and political support cannot replace genuine demand for everyday life. Forest City may eventually find a new purpose and experience partial revival, but its history already serves as a clear lesson for megaprojects around the world. A city cannot be built from concrete, technology, and money alone. People must actually want to live there.